Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I got another crazy current events video for you guys, and this story is just awesome. I absolutely love this story, and this story is going to go down as one of the most important weeks of 2021, and also going to go down in history books, almost like a financial revolution. So what has basically happened is, this thread on Reddit called Wall Street Bets have basically organized thousands of people to mass buy GameStop stock, AMC stock, Nokia stock, BlackBerry, and I think there was also another company in there, but the most bought stock was GameStop, and then second place in that was AMC. Now, the reason that they were telling people to mass buy the stocks is because the hedge fund guys, the guys that almost no one likes, these are the rich elites on Wall Street, the people that invest hundreds of millions of dollars in the stock market, those big risk investors, they're billionaires, basically. They have done a lot of really scummy things over the years. They, for instance, have taken so many bailouts. They constantly manipulate the stock market, and I don't want to get into, politics here, but like in 2008, for instance, when the recession happened, a lot of people lost their homes, a lot of people lost their livelihoods, and what did the hedge fund people on Wall Street get? They got bailouts from the government. But here's the thing, if you want to know just how scummy these people are, how scum these people are that I'm talking about, it's absolute scumbags, take a look at this right here. These scumbags tried to do this earlier in the year. So the hedge fund people, what they tried to do earlier in the year, the government was giving out small business relief because of the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, a lot of small businesses, they had to shut down. They couldn't serve their customers, and because of that, they had to make payroll. They had to pay their employees. Businesses were going out of business. And the government, did a relief program for small businesses. What ended up happening is the hedge fund scumbags, they had actually claimed, oh, we're a small business, so we're entitled to the relief funds. And they were justifying this by saying that they don't employ a lot of people. And a lot of these hedge fund firms, they don't have a lot of people working for them, maybe 10 to 20 people. But the reality is, even though they don't have that many people working, these people are massive millionaires. So they're making a ton of money. They're making a lot of money, and yet they're still demanding bailouts and relief, justifying that they're a so-called small business. And like I was saying, these hedge fund people, what they were doing is they were short selling GameStop stock as their number one stock, and then AMC stock. And short selling, it's kind of like the opposite of buying stocks in the stock market, because when you buy a stock in the stock market, you buy a share of a company. If the company does well, the share rises, and then you sell the share and you make a profit. Short selling is kind of the opposite, where what they're doing is they're borrowing shares from the brokerage. And what ends up happening is they're essentially betting that the stock does worse. So they want the stock to do worse. That's how they make their money. What ends up happening is they'll sell the shares, and then when the stock does worse, they'll buy the shares, and then they'll give that back to the brokerage, and they'll split the difference. So they will collect some kind of fee from that. The brokerage gets a certain percentage, they get a certain percentage back. And these hedge fund guys, the reason that they had so much in stake on GameStop and AMC is because these companies were failing companies. Let's start out with GameStop. The reason that GameStop is a failing company is because the pandemic. That's one reason. A lot of people aren't going into stores. Stores were shut down for a number of months. And another reason is that people just aren't going into GameStop as much anymore. GameStop has had some really bad business practices in the past, especially when they rip people off, when they're trying to exchange games, get store credit, or even when people are trying to sell games. There's a lot of really shady stuff. And on top of that, people are buying more digital games. So they're not going to the store. I mean, one of the PS5 versions has a digital version, one of the versions, and that doesn't even have a disc version. So less and less people are going to be going to GameStop itself. So that's the reason that GameStop is failing. The other stock that these hedge fund guys had so much invested in was AMC. The reason AMC is failing, this is the biggest theater chain in America, is because the movie theaters were closed because of the pandemic. There's no new movies also coming out. Not a lot of movies come out anymore. And on top of that, not a lot of people go to the theaters anymore, even before the pandemic. People might go for a really popular film like a Marvel film, but people don't really go to the movies as much as they used to in the past. So AMC is just a failing company as well. And so the hedge fund guys were betting money that these stocks were going to go down. And when they go down, they make a ton of money. What Wall Street Bets did was when they organized all these people to buy up the GameStop stock and the AMC stock, what happens is, even if a company is going bankrupt, even if it's going bankrupt, when a lot of people buy up the stock rises in value. It rapidly rises up in value. And I'm not trying to give anybody financial advice here. I'm just telling you guys how this works. So when you mass buy the stock, even if it's bankrupt, a lot of people buy it, shares of it are sold in the thousands, the stock rapidly rises. And what happened was, because so many people bought shares in GameStop, they bought shares in AMC, despite the companies failing, the stock rapidly rose. And when the stock rapidly rose, it soared in value. It did the exact opposite of what the billionaires on Wall Street wanted, where they wanted the stock to keep failing. The stock instead soared. And what ended up happening is, all the people that had actually bought shares early on in GameStop and AMC made a lot of money. The billionaires, the hedge fund guys, lost billions. And I'll say this. This has been the most effective way ever to hurt the hedge fund people, to hurt the rich billionaires on Wall Street. This has been the most effective way that anybody has ever done. This has been more effective than any protest or law that has been passed. This has hurt them the most. Absolutely hurt them. And what is awesome about this story, what's so awesome about this, is that almost everyone universally agrees this is a good thing. Almost everyone agrees. It doesn't matter what politics you are. It doesn't matter what side on politics you are. Pretty much every single person agrees that this is a good thing. And that's what's awesome about this story. Everyone pretty much agrees this is a good thing. But there are a few people that don't agree that it's a good thing. Now, who are the people that don't agree it's a good thing? For one, you have the hedge fund people, because they're losing billions of dollars. The other people is, you have the medias that defend them. So there are medias that are defending the hedge fund people, and they're calling what the Wall Street Bets people did a scam. And I'll say this, I'm not an expert on this type of stuff, but I'll say that what they've done, I don't consider that a scam, what the Wall Street Bets people did on Reddit. I don't consider it a scam. I don't know whether that stuff is illegal, what they did, but all they basically did was they just got on Reddit and said, hey, let's all buy up GameStop and AMC stock. That's it. I don't understand what laws they supposedly broke in that. And I'll say this, if they did break some kind of laws, then the Wall Street people also have to be held accountable, because they've been doing market manipulation for decades. And the third group of people that are not happy about this are the politicians that take money from the hedge fund people. They take money and contributions from the hedge fund people, which the hedge fund people are some of the biggest lobbyists. They're massive lobbyists. They constantly pay for people's political campaigns. Pay very close attention. Pay very close attention to this. See exactly what media is defending the hedge fund people. Make sure you pay very close attention to that. And not only that, also pay very close attention to what politician is staying silent on this. Because very few politicians... Now, again, this is not a political channel. This is a gaming channel. I hate anything involved with politics because it just divides people. But pay very close attention to what politicians will not say anything about this. The reason that politicians will not there's politicians that will speak up in support of the people on Reddit, but then there's also politicians that have not said a word. And no politician is going to go out there right now and publicly defend the hedge fund people, because nobody would vote for them. They understand it's really unpopular. But at the same time these politicians won't say anything. So keep an eye out on what politicians aren't going to say anything on this, because that's pretty important to see exactly who the hedge fund people control with their lobbies. But what I find kind of, really hypocritical about the people on Wall Street is that these people have been manipulating the stock market for over 100 years. For over 100 years, these extremely wealthy people have constantly been manipulating the stock market. And this is the first time really in history when the little guy, the working class, the middle class, has manipulated the stock market back right at them, and it didn't work in their favor. So basically, the little guy did the exact same thing that these people have been doing for decades, and they're outraged about it. They're furious about it. They're saying, how dare you do what we've been doing for decades? We're only allowed to do that stuff. How dare you do that? You can't do that. Only us, the elites, are allowed to do stuff like this. And I'm really curious now if if politicians are gonna push some kind of laws to stop this from happening in the future, because people now see that this is how they can hurt the people on Wall Street, by doing stuff like this. When they find out what the people on Wall Street are betting, and then they buy up shares when they're trying to short sell, they can cost the people on Wall Street billions. And some people, what they're doing is they're selling their shares right now. They're selling their shares because they've made a lot of money. But the story gets even crazier, guys, because Robinhood, which is one of the biggest brokers, Robinhood, they're a very popular app, and the reason that they're so popular is because they don't charge any trade fees. So people can just buy and sell stocks without any fees. Robinhood yesterday had actually blocked the purchasing of GameStop stock, AMC stock, Nokia, BlackBerry. They did not allow people to buy stocks like anymore from those companies. And what's happened now is that that Robinhood is getting sued. So Robinhood is getting sued by a lot of people. So Robinhood is telling investors, you can't buy any more GameStop stock, you can't buy any more AMC stock, and they were claiming that this was to protect their customers, which I don't understand how it's to protect their customers when you have literally thousands and thousands of people buying these stocks, but then you have a few very, very small amount of people that are actually betting that these stocks are going to go down. So they're siding with that very, very small few amount of people over the thousands of people that have been buying the stocks. So they're essentially siding with the hedge fund people. I don't care what Robinhood claims. I 100% believe that they're siding with the hedge fund people, because the hedge fund people are pissed off that they're losing billions of dollars, and so they lobbied the CEO of Robinhood, and the CEO of Robinhood basically cut trading for those companies. They have reopened trading for GameStop, but in limited quantities. You can only purchase limited quantities of GameStop, AMC, and the other companies. You can sell, like yesterday. Yesterday you could sell. You can still sell. There's no cap on selling, but there's a cap on buying. And the reason that they put that in there, where you can sell but you can't buy, is because they're hoping that people will sell these shares. And the reason that they're hoping people sell the shares is because when people sell the shares, they don't hold on to it anymore, the shares are going to plummet. So the billionaires will get some of their money back. And that's why Wall Street Bets is saying hold the line. They're saying hold the line because the longer people hold these shares and they don't sell them, the more money that the people the more money that these hedge fund guys are going to lose. Because the hedge fund people, they can theoretically lose an infinite amount of money. Because when you have a stock on the stock market, let's say just $100, and that company completely falls apart, it goes bankrupt, it doesn't exist anymore, let's just say, at most, the most you could lose is $100, what you invested in. So basically you could get $0 back. If you are short selling, if the stock keeps soaring and soaring, there's no cap on when a stock can stop soaring. So you can basically lose an infinite amount of money. And that's what Wall Street Bets is encouraging. They're telling people, hold the line, don't sell the stocks, because the people on Wall Street are going to lose more and more money when people hold these stocks. Really curious what's going to happen now. Really curious if there's going to be any laws passed. But like I was saying, this is the first time where the little guy has basically stood up to, the big elites on Wall Street and just said, no more, and had basically screwed them over. Screwed the people on Wall Street out of billions of dollars. And you bet these people on Wall Street are going to cry. They're going to ask for another bailout. Where was the bailout for the people that would lose their homes, during the recession? Where was their bailout? But instead, the people on Wall Street feel that they're absolutely obligated, entitled to they can make as many risks as they want, and then they deserve a bailout. No. They should not get any kind of bailout. So again, I don't like, covering like political stuff. This is a gaming channel, but this is something that everyone can agree on. That's what's beautiful about this story. Absolutely beautiful. Doesn't matter what politics you are. Doesn't matter what position you are in politics. Everyone pretty much universally agrees that this is a good thing. That's what's so great about this. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. If you're new to my channel and enjoy my content, subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone.